Hello everybody. As soon as you see this title, you might say, hey, I know what this guy is going to talk about, so let me just skip. But hear me out for 20 seconds and then you decide. The first skill that I want to talk about is problem solving. And what is problem solving? It is the art to identify a problem and to then solve that problem. You might say, hey, go ahead and solve Sudoku puzzles on newspapers and then you are good. No, the difference between solving a Sudoku puzzle and improving problem solving in the corporate world is you are actually gaining some domain knowledge or industry knowledge or functional knowledge as well. And how do you do that so that you can actually leverage it for the next 10 years? First and the most important thing, identify which domain or industry that you want to work. Go ahead, look into some of your dream companies, McKinsey's, BCG, Bain's, Amazon's, any of these guys. Go check out their blogs, insights pages, open any article randomly. For example, over here, I'm opening the featured insights on McKinsey, and one of the articles I find is the challenges in the climate tech space. Every day, try to find one article and before reading it, think about what could be the challenges in the climate tech space or the article that you are reading about. Then see, hey, it could be finance. It is difficult to get financing in the climate tech space. If it is retail, think about whatever are the problems that come to your mind and what could be the solutions. Go ahead and then write down that list in 2-3 minutes and every single day do this for 5 minutes only. Then read the article. You will realize what are the points that you are missing out. If you do this in your domain, you will learn what are the problems in your domain and what are the solutions that are being offered. This is problem solving in the corporate world. If you develop this skill, you will gain a lot of leverage over your colleagues, your workers, friends, everybody else, and you can demand that higher salary. This is the skill that I'm talking about. Before we jump into the second skill, I just want to take a pause and you let me know, would you rate this problem solving as a hard skill or a soft skill? Go ahead and put it down in the comments how you would differentiate problem solving, and I will add my answer in a day or two. Now, if you notice, for every skill going forward as well, I will give you a definition of what that skill is in my opinion, and then I will give you a practical way on how you can develop that particular skill. And you let me know if you have any challenges and we can take that discussion forward in the comment section itself. So let's move into the second skill, which is building a personal brand. In my definition, building a personal brand does not mean earning a lot of money through YouTube or LinkedIn or Instagram. Building a personal brand means having a good presence, a decent presence on the internet through LinkedIn, one of the professional platforms, so that you get inbound opportunities. People will reach out to you with a job opportunity rather than you going and telling people that I need a job. This works like a charm, and all I'm telling is maintain that minimum personal brand so that your network is building in a very organic way. Don't expect wonders in the next 1 year or 2 years. But if you think about the next 10 years, this personal brand is going to be the key. You don't need to be a creator, you don't need to be an influencer, but this could be the differentiator for that little bit of higher salary or for that job negotiation or getting that new job. And how do you do that? To start with, use LinkedIn and then start adding comments to the people within your domain, within your function, and then start writing relevant posts. I know people in the startup world who are struggling to get projects, who are struggling to reach out to clients. And you know how they get their clients right now? Through their employees who have that personal brand on LinkedIn. If you have that brand, then your startup or another startup would want to pay you more and poach you into their company. Please don't ignore that. That is the second skill. The third skill that I want to highlight is communications. Again, communication is not for you to go and deliver a TED talk. Communication is all about making sure the other person is understanding what you say. If you talk about 10 things, the other person should be able to understand and remember at least 6 or 7. That's it. That should be the goal of any good communicator. And how do you do that? A quick way to practice could be start with writing down your own notes every day. At the end of the day for 5 minutes. All I'm saying is just 5 minutes, guys. These 5 minutes could again be a game changer for you. And what do you write in that 5 minutes? Just think through whatever has happened in the entire day and then put down in the form of different bullet points. or just number it. Don't write it as a story or a long paragraph. Once you write these points, there is one more task that you should do. Prioritize or rearrange the order of the things which are more important versus less important. This is the only thing that you should do. And over time, you will develop a habit of writing a good email where you prioritize good things at the top and you will leave out the things which are not very important. When you go ahead and speak with executives, you will speak about the most important things first and then you will leave out the rest. Start with your daily activity because it is very easy for you to write down these things and slowly you can move to your work world. And this is what is called as answer first approach in the management consulting space. McKinsey, BCG, Bain, all these consultants do this day in and day out, and that is the reason why they are paid a lot of money. Crisp communication. Please make this as a habit, and this could be a wonderful skill to develop over the next 10 years. Whether Gen AI is here versus not, whether there is a new skill, new technology here versus not, this communication skill will actually keep you in the highest rated employees and also with a very high demand in the market. The fourth skill that I want to talk about is actually not a hard skill or a soft skill, but it is something related to your mindset, and that is your ability to take calculated risks. Let me tell you a small story over here. Whenever I worked at Mu Sigma, McKinsey, and also at Accenture, I was always afraid of going and telling something radically different or making a small risk in front of my manager because I was thinking, hey, I'm earning a decent salary. If this is a bad thing, my manager might rate me down or my manager might fire me. So why take that risk? But over time, I realized that it is fine to take some of these risks. Even if it's a small thing, start with those risks. For example, proposing a small team outing for your team, or proposing a small mentoring session, or proposing a brown bag session. These things will increase your confidence and you might propose a much radical change going forward. I would request you, please do that wherever you are working. Small changes, don't take massive risks, but small calculated risk. It is up to you, depending on the team, depending on the company, what that risk should be, but do not ignore that. The fifth skill that I want to talk about is data analysis. I'm not saying that, hey, go learn SQL or go learn Python. I'm talking about understanding the patterns within the basic data. If you are given a chart, if you are given an Excel table, can you identify patterns? Pattern recognition is now one of the most common interview questions. It is there in CAT, like data interpretation. It is there in GMAT. It is there in every single standardized test that you want to take. It is there for a reason, and companies are also having them in the first round or second round of interviews. And how do you develop this skill? I'm giving you a link to a very quick video. Please go ahead, watch that video. I speak about how do you look into graphs or charts. You gain the concept from this video and go ahead and look into data sets from Kaggle. You understand that there is a specific way of identifying patterns, and this is called as exploratory data analysis, EDA. If you go and ask any data scientist, the first thing that they would do is clean the data and then do data analysis. This is nothing but pattern recognition. Understand that this pattern recognition could be actually one of the easiest ways for you to get into data science, then subsequently into artificial intelligence. I know people who leverage this data analysis as a skill and then moved from electrical engineering to AI, mechanical engineering to AI. Start with this data analysis as a skill. The sixth skill that I want to talk about is again related to the mindset about side hustles. Well, you might say, I already have a good job, or I don't have time for a side hustle. Guys, first of all, understand that developing a side hustle or making money through additional sources of income is a mindset shift. It is not about having time versus not. It is not about earning enough versus not. It is your ability to think that, hey, let me generate second source. Let me actually make more money. Once you get into that mindset, it could be easy for you to be financially free, and you can pay off a lot of these EMIs through your secondary source of income. And what could be a good way? Well, you might say, hey, I reach out to a lot of startups, reach out to a lot of people, but nobody gives me any work to do on the weekend. That is where your personal brand will come in. That's the second skill that we talked about. When you start writing on LinkedIn, people will reach out to you, or you can reach out to people and say that, hey, this is something which I know very well. I have been writing a lot of posts, or I shot some videos around it. And then you can reach out to people in the US, UK, or any of the Western countries, because these guys can give you some of those work and outsource it to you. And why would they give it to you? Well, because there is cost arbitrage. It is difficult to get support at a reasonable price point in the US or any other Western world. So if you exhibit that skill, small startups or even individuals might want to outsource some of the work to you because it is much more affordable. So do not ignore that side hustle. For that to start, personal branding might be important. The seventh skill that I want to talk about is programming. Well, doesn't matter if you are an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, arts, designs, science guy, doesn't matter. You have to get into programming. And why is that? Because a lot of companies are now building their leverage, that is advantage of generating more revenues and reducing costs through technology. And for that to happen, they need people who understand and do programming. If you have that skill, you can get into those jobs where companies are trying to actually leverage that technology, reduce costs and increase profits. That is where startups' valuations are moving. That is where traditional industries are moving. So learning programming is not an option anymore. You might say, hey, the tool that I learned might be outdated very soon. I have learned a particular thing over the last 5 years, not useful anymore. I agree. So learn about the programming basics. For example, last 15 years, Java is still in demand. Python, Java, these are some of the programming languages which are in demand for a very long time. The tools on top of them might keep changing, but the underlying skills won't. So please think about it and see what is the course that you can quickly enroll in, either Coursera or Udemy. There are free and fantastic courses that you can start with and then enroll in a paid bootcamp. I hope you agree with me on these skills, and I would request you, if you can categorize each one of these skills into either it is a hard skill or a soft skill, and mention it in the comments, and let's debate over it, because each one of us can look at it differently. Thank you so much, guys. Please go ahead, share it with your friends, brothers, sisters, or whoever in your network, so that they can also develop this skill set and remain relevant in the market over the next 10 years. See you again in the next video. Bye bye.